Hey, what's up guys? It's Patrick from Uncle Bill's Camping, and today we're going to be talking about how to make a shower lanyard like this to use in the camp showers. Now the things you're going to need to make this is going to be 5 foot of paracord, some heat shrink tubing, some of these refillable bottles with a place to clip a lanyard or a carbiner on it, and I'll be using these small clips right here. They're called Paracord clips. So you're going to need 3 of the about 2-inch heat shrink tubes and 4 of the 1-inch heat shrink tubes. This will help make the daisy chain and seal everything up. Of course, when you're dealing with paracord, you're going to want to take a lighter or something to heat up the end and just smooth that out so you have a nice strong surface to be able to push through the tubes and the carbiner clips without it fraying. Next thing we're going to do is take one of these small paracord clips, and we're going to start our daisy chain by making the first loop. We'll run that all the way through. Make sure you straighten it out and have even lengths, and then we're going to take a long piece of the heat shrink tubing and run that all the way down to the bottom. Now we're going to leave just enough down here at the bottom to move that around, and also be able to hook a regular carbiner clip through there if you decide not to use the actual paracord clips. You'll still have the loop to be able to clip something else on it. Next, we're going to start setting our paracord clips and making our daisy chain. Once we put the first one on there, we're going to take a short piece of the heat shrink tubing and run it down, and that's going to start our really our first piece in the daisy chain. It's pretty repetitive from here. We're just going to alternate sides of the string to put the paracord clip on, and then insert the smaller pieces of the heat shrink tubing on top. And you can see a pattern here emerging where we're just doing side to side, opposite side each time we put one of these paracord clips on. And I mean, really, you could probably do this any way you wanted to. This is just the way I prefer to do it. Obviously, you could do more than 4 if you wanted to. It's just my personal preference for the amount of bottles that I want to hook on there. The way this is designed, though, there will be room at the top if you want to clip more stuff in. You know, kind of a backup loop. Now for this one, like I said, I'm basically doing it to where I can attach 4 bottles to it. So everything's set there. Now we're going to take one of the longer pieces, and we're going to put that on there. Now I don't heat this piece up all the way with the heat shrink tubing. I do heat it a little bit, but just to make it to where it's enough to put some tension on the rope. That way I can use it as a slide to be able to tighten the loop. And after you got that done, we move on to the next step. All right, now you should probably really use a heat gun for this. Didn't have access to a heat gun at the time, so really just use a lighter. You just have to be careful that you keep your flame moving. Don't burn your paracord or yourself, and it should be enough to tighten these down just fine. Just heat them up and smooth them out, and it should tighten everything up enough to hold a pretty good grip on the paracord itself. Once you've got that initial one set, you're going to want to pull enough cord through on the side that actually has the paracord clip, just to make a little loop, and that actually starts to make the daisy chain for you. And you see how that's pulled through. Once it's set, then you're going to take your lighter or your heat source and heat up the heat shrink, and that way it'll hold that in place for you. The thing I like about this is not only could you use it for a shower lanyard, with this design, I mean, you can make basically a gear string to run across your entire tent to be able to hang stuff in. So I mean, you can kind of use this just about any way you want to. Like I said, it's a pretty simple design. You don't necessarily have to use the paracord clips like I'm using right here. You could just use regular carbiners to clip stuff into the loop. I'm just using these basically because I've had them laying around for a while, and they seem pretty sturdy. So it seems like a pretty good use for them. Now, if you recall, this last long piece that's actually on here, I don't heat this up all the way, just enough to tighten it down to where it's got a little bit of grip on the paracord, and that way I can slide it up and down and adjust the tension. So using this mostly for me, I'm going to be using this as like a shower caddy to hang over the shower head in camp showers. And the reason I leave that slack in there is if I have to tighten it up, just to be able so it doesn't slip off of the shower head. Now this last part, basically what we're going to do is we're going to slide one of the last long piece over, and then we're going to clip the ends of the paracord. And what we want to do basically is we're going to go ahead and join the paracord ends. And I'm not really an expert on paracord. I did see this technique and it seemed to work pretty good. But basically we're going to take these frayed ends and heat them up and just get it to where everything's melting really good. And once it's hot and melted, we're just going to push the ends together, and they pretty much just fuse instantly. You might need to heat it up a few more times just to be able to soften it, roll it between your fingers to smooth it out to where it doesn't have a big knot in it. But once that's set, it's a pretty strong bond. Yeah, I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could probably break it apart. I mean, but for all intents and purposes of what you're going to be using this for, I think it works just fine. And once you got that set, you're going to take that last long piece that you slid on there before, and you're actually going to slip it over where you just join the two pieces of paracord. And this is actually going to be the loop that hangs over the shower head. I kind of done it this way because, you know, camp showers, things like that, the top of that shower head, you don't know what's on there. It could be rust or, you know, whatever kind of funk gets built up in there over time. And it just makes it that much easier to keep this, you know, somewhat clean. Having that plastic touch the top of it rather than the fabric. You know, if something is on there, you can just wipe it off with a paper towel or rag and it'll be just fine. Now, what I'm using here to do this is actually these are hair ties. They're fabric, they're really durable, they're real strong, super cheap. I usually use these like if I have to bundle some cords or something like that. I use these over rubber bands or anything else, but just put them through the end of the bottle and loop them through. Give it a good tug so it tightens down, and then hook them right on the paracord clips. This last piece I saved is really for your wash rag or whatever you're going to use to wash yourself with. Could be a body scrub or a wash rag, but you want it at the bottom because that's obviously probably going to be the wettest thing that you have when you leave the shower, and you know, when you hang it up, of course, that's going to drip right off of there instead of down on the rest of your paracord. I mean, but there it is. I mean, it's pretty simple. You know, when you're done with it, you can hang it on a tree branch, or you know, if you're at a regular campground, you can just hang it off the mirror on your car or whatever. Let it drip dry. You got the lanyard there at the top to where you can adjust the tension. But, you know, there it is, pretty simple. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please feel free to hit that subscribe or like button down below. You can also find me on Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, UncleBillsCamping.com, here on YouTube, and vid.me. And from Uncle Bill's Camping, this is Patrick saying thank you for looking at my videos.